As quickly as possible, I want to show you how I master a song. We're going to go over my song Broken Tool and how I mastered that. If you're into audio production or you're curious about the process, I'm sure you're going to learn a little bit from this video. So I have all of the plugins that I need to use called up right here, and I'm going to go through them one by one, why they were used in the manner that they were used, pretty briefly. So the first plugin I want to go over is the tape emulator, which is the first in the plugin chain. This I like to add for the saturation. A lot of mastering engineers add saturation to their master bus, especially in rock and metal. I also just like how the tape emulator colors and distorts the overall mix. So as you can hear, the high end was a bit smoother, it sounded a little bit thicker, and it did get a little bit quieter, but that's okay because the volume will be brought up later on. So the next thing that I would add is some corrective EQ. Now, technically, the only thing that I really needed to correct was this little 3000 hertz area. For whatever reason, I was getting too much of that, so I just dipped down about barely over 1 dB, and the rest was kind of just like EQ for taste. So a little bit brighter sounding, a little bit cleaner sounding. I like the changes that I did on this EQ. The next thing I would add is some bus compression. I don't really use any unique settings. The release is auto, 3:1 ratio is pretty common. The attack might be a little bit different from how most mastering engineers would do it, but I used my ears for this. And what this is really doing is just helping glue everything together. Things sound a little bit more glued together. It kind of sounds a little bit thicker as well. The next thing I like to add is Isotope Ozone Imager 2. This just is a very simple, and it's a free plugin to make your mixes sound a little bit wider. I use this very, very gently. I don't go crazy on this. A lot of people don't like these kind of plugins. I personally like the effect that it has on my masters. Now, you really have to listen, but this does make the mix sound a little bit wider, and it's less obvious on some speakers. So the last and final plugin I have is a limiter. This is really just chopping off some peaks on the overall master, and then I usually hit it a little bit harder just to make things sound a little bit more exciting and louder. I have the output on this to -2 dB. Spotify recommends that for louder masters, and I do some pretty loud masters. And the last and final thing that I do that isn't a plugin is, once I make all of these changes, I will send this out to a couple audio engineers that I trust and look for constructive criticism or any feedback. Usually I don't get much. The only thing that I got was the corrective EQ. That 3000 hertz is just a problem. I actually couldn't pinpoint the frequency. Someone else pinpointed it for me, so that was really awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like metal and audio production, I invite you to subscribe to me.